The Department of Justice filing a lawsuit against the state of California for interfering with immigration law enforcement. Attorney General Jeff Sessions slamming the sanctuary state this afternoon.
California absolutely, it appears to me, is using every power it has, powers it doesn't have, to frustrate federal law enforcement. So you can be sure I'm going to use every power I have to stop that.
And now California Governor Jerry Brown responding.
I'll cooperate, Jeff, if you can get off this current maneuver you're on, because it's unbecoming, it's based on non-truth, and I hope you'll shape up before it's too late. And I'll tell you, this lawsuit, they're talking about going to the Supreme Court, this lawsuit is going to last a lot longer than the Trump administration.
Ooh, burn. Oh. Here now to react is Republican Congressman Tom McClintock from California. What do you think of what you just heard there on both sides?
Well, that's typical Jerry Brown on the left, but Sessions is absolutely right. If we're not going to enforce our immigration laws, that means our borders are meaningless. And history warns us that any country that either cannot or will not defend its borders simply isn't around very long. And he's also right, there's a broader issue involved, and that's the sanctity of our Constitution and the rule of law. What we're seeing raised by Jerry Brown is the same discredited doctrine that dates back to the old Southern Confederacy of the notion that a state or local official who doesn't like a federal law is simply free to ignore it, or in California's case, to actively obstruct it. Well, that doctrine is absolutely toxic to a federal union. It is destructive of our Constitution. It would render our Constitution meaningless. The laws that we pass under it become mere suggestions, and the federal union disintegrates. Lincoln understood that danger when he became president, and I think Sessions is quite right. The same doctrine is at work now, invoked by the new Confederacy, led by people like Jerry Brown.
Yeah. You know, he made the comment that what if a state decided to ignore OSHA laws? I mean, what if a state, decided that would be, it would have a completely different reaction.
Well, exactly. And again, the 10th Amendment does reserve to states the powers that are not explicitly granted to Congress. But immigration is explicitly granted to Congress, and the Supremacy Clause makes it clear that those laws are the supreme laws of the land. And the federal courts, not state officials, are there to adjudicate disputes. But a state official cannot ignore, or worse, obstruct a federal law.
Do you think that this is a strong enough move by the Attorney General, though? I mean, obviously, the president has been very critical of his handling of the rebellion from all of these different sanctuary cities and sanctuary states. Is a lawsuit enough, and will it get any traction?
Well, in the case of the Oakland mayor, who tipped off illegal immigrants who were targeted by ICE, these are people with criminal charges that range from gang affiliations to gun violations to robbery, burglary, sexual assaults. She allowed as many as 860 such people to escape back into our community. Now, if that's not obstruction of justice, I don't know what is. I think that we either, if it is obstruction of justice, she ought to be charged, and if it's not obstruction of justice, we need a new law.
All right, Congressman McClintock, thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.